many languages do you still know? Like, do you still know the black speech, or most of it?
The black speech, I was flown down literally like 6 to 8 weeks before The Hobbit was premiering. I mean, basically a 7-foot guy in a bodysuit had been used to play Azog. And Peter Jackson had got to the editing room and he realised that his choice for Azog just wasn't working on camera dramatically. And he thought that he had to use a 7-foot guy because Azog was so big. And you know, I'd auditioned for it, but you know, I was not the size that they needed for Azog. But then what he decided was, because I had auditioned for it, he decided that he loved my audition. He thought that I had the strength for Azog. And what he would do is he'd film me in motion capture and then create it as a 9-foot being. Just expand me up to 9 foot, basically. With a bit of wonderful sort of animated finish for Azog. So, yeah, but you know, having rushed me down there, I was doing the scenes with such short time that there were guys holding cue cards up. Because I literally flew in, they gave me the script, he said, you're going to play Azog, I know you're going to be great at it. I'm standing in this suit with little balls all over it going like, what's all these things around the wall? And then they showed me this image on the wall that was like this giant guy that looked like a shark, you know Azog. And I went, okay, here we go. That's about how much time I had to think. And then they're going, okay, you're speaking this black speech. Here it is on the script. Can you remember any of them? I'm going, there's no way I can actually feed these lines into my brain right now and do everything at the same time. So can we get some cue cards up? So little people like holding cue cards and somebody at the back holding cue cards, so that whenever I walked into the shape of Azog and went, you know, did that first castle scene, there was always somebody with a cue card in the line of sight. So I had to stay in character to read the lines of the cue card, and then I was directing at actors that weren't even there. You know, and the wag that I patted as I came down, I said, Pete, if my wolf is there, which one's mine? Is my wolf up here? And he said it is, we'll put him on the stair that's there. And I said, well, can I pat my wolf when I'm going down? So this line isn't like, I'm not telling the orc I'm going to come and get you for screwing up. And I started off so that I'm just really subtle about it, and I walk down and I go, I wanted the head of the Hobbit King. I'll pat my, yeah, it's big, yeah, it's about there. So it doesn't, but I'm this big. So it is down there. You know, and then I'll walk toward this. Then I'll walk toward this small orc, and I'll just go. Yeah, it's very good. Maybe you should have paid with your life. And then rip him up and throw him over the wargs, and the wargs eat her, or the orc at the time. But you know, one of the two, you know, when I got rung up and told about Azog, I went and took out The Empire Strikes Back and Jaws, and I tried to base the character on, you know, the strength of voice that James Earl Jones gave to Darth Vader, and the stealthfulness of Jaws the shark, so that I wanted Azog, because he looked so aggressive anyway. He didn't have to, you know, I knew he wouldn't have to do much to explode on screen. I just didn't want him to be like for me, the orcs in Lord of the Rings, because they were made out of suits, and those suits couldn't move, they always had the teeth open. So whenever you saw an orc, it was just going, you know, there was never any sort of, you know, sort of stealthfulness, and then, you know, so I wanted to play Azog like a shark, just sort of circling, whether I was on the back of my orc or whatever, just sort of circling and coming in and being very here, and then suddenly go, and then Jaws, you know what I mean? Just burst out of the ocean or something like that. That was one of the dramatic premises I had for the character.
Alright, that'll be all, and thank you for what you do.
Thank you. Cheers, man. Thank you.
Okay, guys, we've got another 5 minutes left, so we're gonna, well, you've had an hour of this man's time nearly. We're gonna have to start going, so let's have some quick fire round. You did the motion capture suit, just like Andy Serkis. Did you ever get to meet him? And the second question,
no, unfortunately I can only do one, mate, because there's a big one here. I met Andy Serkis, coincidentally, at the 2 Comic-Cons prior to me getting offered the role of Azov. I met him at San Diego. I went to an HBO party and like there's all the industry all there, whatever, and I was just walking around going like, who am I going to, who am I going to talk to, And suddenly I saw Andy Serkis. And I sort of walked over and I said, oh, hey Andy, hey, my name's Manu. I know you've worked in New Zealand and I'm doing Spartacus there. And he was like, oh, I'll come to you, I'll come down, And then he told me all about his experience on motion capture. And this was a precursor to even getting the role, And then the next year when I went to San Diego, I was going to some, other party at Comic-Con, and as I was lining up on the red carpet, Andy Serkis walked up right next to me. I'm like, hey Andy, remember from last year we had the conversation about motion capture? And he's like, oh yeah, what are you doing now, Spartacus? And I was like, oh good mate, yeah, fantastic, Good to see you again, fantastic, have a good night, Andy Serkis, there he goes again. Jump forward 1 year, somebody's going, these are the shoes that Andy Serkis wore in motion capture. You can put those on for Azov if you want. Truly. And I put on the same shoes that Andy Serkis wore when he did Dog, So the universe linking it up like that was just quite bizarre,
We saw Slade kill his best friend now. Would there be any backstory about it?
Oh, do you mean Billy Wintergreen?
Yeah.
Slade Wilson killing Billy Wintergreen? Whether they're going to flash back further in time to show any of that evolution between those two and how they end up there on the island, I don't know. Honestly, I just don't know. At that point, I think Billy Wintergreen was being used as a scapegoat to try to, make the audience think that that Deathstroke was that character. And then, I don't know whether the writers got to a certain point and they decided, well, that's not working, let's bring in Slade Wilson and make him become the Deathstroke, because, I'm not quite sure where the thought went with the writers but, when Slade Wilson arrived in episode 13, and then we divulged the story to Oliver, that he'd been in partnership with this guy on a military mission, they'd been shot down, and, that Wintergreen even in the fires, accepted the money and the offer of freedom because he thought that would save his own neck. But Slade Wilson had gone no and sort of run off. The one thing is, I don't know why he's hiding in the wreckage of the plane and they don't know where that is, because Billy Wintergreen would know where the plane was, what I mean? So I don't know how he gets to hide out there and be safe from all of them. But in any case, when I had that fight scene with Billy, I stabbed him in the eye. Even then, I was wondering, well, does that mean that I'm going to be Deathstroke? Because Deathstroke in the future's got a patch over his eye. So, is he still going to be is he still Deathstroke, and they're just using me to be some sort of decoy as well? But just watch next season. Watch next season. That'll maybe explain a little bit more about that relationship.
Do you think Oliver will betray do you think Oliver will betray the Slade?
Do I think
Oliver will betray Slade on the island?
Watch the last episode of this season, and then next season. We'll have to find out, yeah. I think it's more next season. We'll have to wait for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My question is, for me, Curtis started as a jerk and I hated him. But he fell in love with me, and that's what kind of, fixed him and made him more human. Now that he's dead, I was hoping for him to fix, to get back and maybe fix his relationship with Agron. So if you had a chance to, to do something before he died, because, they still had some kind of hate between him and Agron, would you do that?
You'll have to write a new episode of the show. That could be season 4.
No, but because I think,
Princess and Agron. I don't know.
Well,
I think Agron's choosing to go with Princess into the battle against Rome, to go to the gates of Rome. I think that was enough to show that the two of them had a mutual respect for the journey they were on. I think if you'd gone any softer with that relationship, it would have been all just a bit too much mush for the world of Spartacus. But it's nice of you to be so kind and gentle because I think
Because they hated each other so much, you know, like until the beginning of the season, they still protect that.
Well, you know, in reality, you have people that become, you know, side by side in life in different ways. You know, and I think that was the energy that Crixus and Agron had. I think it worked really well, just to show that not all relationships get resolved. And yet, at the end of the day, on the last episode, it was just there. He was standing beside me in a battle. And when I said, you know, when I was a gladiator yet beneath the roof of Batiatus, I was asked the question to every gladiator, what lies beneath your feet? I say that to the big slave army before we go to fight against the Roman force against Rome. And it's Agron who steps forward and answers me. You know, sacred ground, watered with tears of blood. It's him answering me in a scenario, you know, and you know, I think that's enough to have signed off on that relationship. Thanks for the question.
Hello.
Hello.
Can I ask you a simple question? Can you take your shirt off? Please. You don't have to answer anything.
She's like so hippie, like free love. You know, it's a compliment what you're saying, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Can I touch your ass? I'll touch you. Can I touch you?
That was not in the least bit stalkerish at all. Don't worry. It was fine. Okay, next question.
Okay, genetically and environmentally speaking, how is it that you're such a sexy Adonis? Tell me this!
I don't know, you know.
This is deteriorated, isn't it? It's deteriorated.
I owe my tan to the Maoris. I may owe some of my facial features to the Scottish and the Irish and the Spanish. I don't know, man. Like, you know.
And Jason Momoa wanted to fight you, didn't he? Jason Momoa was, come on!
No, he was back, he was like, no, what the hell is going on?
Okay, let's do the next question. Thank you.
Good fun, brother.
We'll see you next year when Chris Hemsworth is here and you can say the same question. It's not really. I said Chris Hemsworth was here last year as well. Go on, next question.
There's still the questions going back time. But as a fan of Spartacus, and I love fight scenes, and as the character of Crixus, would you rather fight a horse-sized duck or a flock of duck-sized horses?
You know, I'd like to take out the duck-sized horse first, or the horse-sized duck, and then turn my attention to that flock of duck horses. And then, you know, I don't know.
A horse-sized duck. How many crispy pancakes and everything do you need with that? Right? You get plum sauce, pancakes, fantastic. Brilliant, thank you. The next question.
I'd like to hear the whack.
It's going crazy.
Bro,
Horse-sized duck.
I got a question. First of all, you're so nice as a person. Thank you for coming to the series. Have you ever played video games?
You know what? Liam McIntyre was like a full-on, you know, video game. You know, he spends a lot of time on them, and unfortunately for me, at last year's Comic-Con in San Diego, they come out with the Spartacus video game that's coming on Sony PlayStation or one of them, and of course, you know, it's Liam and I are there in front of all the press and all the crowd, and I've gone like, oh, let's see Spartacus and Crixus fight. And so I get up on this video game, you know, and you know, I'm just like hitting every button as hard, as fast as I can. Just going, anything work, please work, you know, joystick in every direction. And he's sitting there like going double, hit, bang, boom. He just knew how to play, so he just wiped, like Spartacus just wiped Crixus. Awesome. Big time in the video game, but you know, I kind of, yeah.
Thanks again.
Brilliant.
See you later.
Thank you.
think that's it.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Manu Bennet.
Shukran. Shukran.
Don't forget, Manu will be doing photographs and signing. I think that's tomorrow now. Tomorrow. Make sure you get your tokens. We all know what an absolutely lovely bloke he is. Get to say hi in person.